It's no spoiler to say that Kafka Hibino is a golden retriever of a human being. Soft, cuddly, friendly. But people forget that the golden retriever is a 70-pound bundle of muscle bred to do endurance swimming through ice-cold water. And there's this video going around recently of a golden retriever and his human getting jumped by a Belgian Malinois. Objectively a much more aggressive and defensive breed. But that golden retriever, that soft, fluffy bundle of golden cloud, instantly leaps to the defense of his humans, body checks the Malinois, who is a much smaller dog, and sends the Malinois running. Because ultimately, when it comes down to it, the golden retriever is still a dog. He's got that dog in him, and if something he loves is being actively attacked, even the most mild and gentle golden retriever is going to destroy the attacker. Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we are going to be taking a fully spoilery look at Kaiju number 8, chapter 121. The one where we get reminded that, yes, golden retrievers are still dogs. There will be spoilers for this chapter, so if you don't want any of those, you can click away. I'll give you a little bit of time to do that now by telling you to go check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of my book, Dying Embers, Dragons, Aliens, and Things That Go Boom in the Night. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold. Now, on to spoilers. You have been warned. So one thing that has been bothering me as a scientist is that Matsumoto has shown an intense dedication to obeying the laws of physics and the laws of nature. The ancient kaiju is clearly based off of the cordyceps fungus, which takes over the bodies of animals in order to control them and reproduce. The weapons actually have either massive blowback or shown countermeasures to prevent massive blowback. When Kikoru activates her shield to defend her from an explosion, you can see how the shock waves float around her shield in a damage pattern. When Kaiju number 8 powers up for a super-powered uppercut, you can see the ground underneath him buckle. When Mina fires off her great big gun, just like a real bazooka, you can see the counterblast going out the other side, and even with that, she still has to have the tiger to provide herself the third leg of a tripod to keep it from knocking her over. Matsumoto has had a dedication to physics, and one of the fundamental laws of physics is that matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed. But we have Kaiju number 8 coming in and just generating these massive amounts of power. I have speculated that Kaiju number 8 was burning Kafka's fat to do this, but I pointed out that even with that, you just simply cannot get enough calories from even completely vaporizing that much human tissue to explain the amount of power that was going into this. Well, Matsumoto has, in this chapter, explained, at least partially, where Kaiju number 8's power was coming from. It was the combined emotional willpower of all of those hundreds and thousands of soldiers who died fighting the Kaiju back 400 years ago, which is a classic Shonen Jump concept. And I think it does fit in with both Matsumoto's dedication to the laws of physics. Matsumoto's story involves giant kaiju, giant organisms that couldn't exist in real life, so we accepted that. And this is a Shonen Jump manga, so we accept certain plot armors, and I think it is within reason that we accept that in this world, at least Kafka's layman's explanation for where this power is coming from, that it's the emotions of the fallen soldiers is plausible. Now, of course, when the scientists get to studying it, they're not going to be happy with that explanation, and they might find out that the kaiju was able to harness and store the power of all of those soldiers' collective bodies decaying over time, which involved preserving their memories, which involved preserving their emotions. So it's not wrong to say that those soldiers' emotions are powering this little kaiju, but it's probably just an oversimplification on Kafka's part, Kafka being the sentimentalist that he is. But at least Matsumoto addressed this law of the universe that the little guy has been violating. And then in this chapter, we get that reminder that the defense force is not being irrational when they are afraid of Kaiju number 8 in Kafka. This is a being that has a destructive power to just completely flatten cities. And they are having, the best case scenario they are looking at is that power is in the hands of one single human being who might go mad at any time. And Kafka's got two things going for him. His behavior has been consistently helpful, and he is just a golden retriever of a human being. And like I said at the beginning of the video, people forget that golden retrievers are essentially wolves that choose to be happy. Golden Retriever is still 100% capable of defending their humans to the same level as a German Shepherd or a Belgian Malinois or even a big Newfoundland. They just would prefer not to, but when push comes to shove, they're there to defend you. We also get a look at Kafka's intense sense of responsibility taken to absurd extremes in here when he apologizes for busting the drones. Then you get the scene where this is a very psychological chapter as well. Kafka looks at his guilt. He recognizes this irrational guilt that he's been holding for all of these years. And when he sees that guilt being in another being, in this case in Little Guy, and I have been waiting for this chapter for so long, when Kafka finally starts to communicate with the little guy, the little kaiju that started this all, to show compassion for it. When he sees another being shouldering a load of irrational guilt that neither the original soldiers had any, nor this essentially innocent creature that was born from them have anything to feel guilty for. They went out there, they did their best, but they failed utterly against a creature that they could not help but fail against. But they did eventually drain it of its energy and allow their survivors at least to live in peace. They have nothing to feel guilty for, but in their minds they failed. When Kafka, the Golden Retriever, sees this guilt in another being, he is able to accept its irrationality and to say, come on, get up, we're going to fight another day, but we can't let this guilt define us or cripple us any longer. And this is one of those things where in expressing compassion, because it's not even forgiving, but it's in expressing compassion for what someone else has suffered, Kafka is able to forgive himself and let go of all of that guilt and grief, manifested by transforming into an awesome six-eyed version of Kaiju number 8 with all of that black covering off. He is now the gleaming, I think he's going to be white and blue now when it's colorized in the anime. We can't tell until we see some official art what his coloring is going to be, but he's shed the guilt and the grief and that helpless feeling, and he's going to go out and use this awesome form with those big bulging muscles to punch the heck out of the bad guy. I like me a good Shonen Jump manga. Like I said, if the hero doesn't punch a kaiju, a yokai, or a mecha in the first 5 minutes, it's really hard for me to get into an anime. But this is a good one. Alright, now, I just want to remind everybody, this giant kaiju that Kafka is fighting, this is just the fruiting body, the mushroom sticking up above the ground. Even when kaiju number 8 inevitably pummels that laughing eyeball face into the dirt, the network of mycorrhizal that this fungal-based kaiju is based off of is still going to be under Tokyo. The kaiju number 9, whatever you want to call him, the ancient kaiju, I'm not going to try to pronounce the me name kaiju, it does not represent a one-off problem, like a invasion that can be destroyed by a monsoon. This kind of threat that the ancient kaiju is representing is something that always exists. You can think of it, obviously the kaiju are based a lot on natural disasters like earthquakes and volcanoes. Something that Japan, as an island nation that is basically a chain of volcanoes on the Pacific Ring of Fire, has to deal with every day of their lives. When the big 9-pointer hit back in 2011, they rebuilt. When the tsunami hit, they rebuilt. There were heroes that went in after the tsunami, the old men who said, you know what, we're going to go in and clean up the radiation because the radiation can't get us before we're scheduled to die anyway, and we don't want the young men to do this. This is an old man's job. Those heroes, they went in and they did fantastic things, but the risk of a 9-point earthquake, the risk of a volcano exploding, the risk of another tsunami hitting Japan, it doesn't go away. It's there. It's constantly there. And this is the same thing that Kafka is fighting right now. Kafka is going to go in, punch the heck out of the ancient kaiju, save the day in the moment, and then Tokyo's going to have to knuckle down, build better, stronger shelters, take the data that they gathered from this tragedy, take a deep breath, and wait for the next one, because that's how life is. The earth shakes. Swarms of locusts sweep over the continent of Africa. Freezing, bitter, cold, unthinkable blizzards swipe through North America, killing people. Fires ravage the drier areas. We live on a planet that is constantly trying to kill us. And even if we can put aside our human differences and all work together, we still got to deal with that every day, every generation. But what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Is this chapter so laden with a depth of meaning and scientific understanding in human nature? Or am I just overanalyzing? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really enjoy hearing your replies. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers. Step into a world of science and of story, of laughter and of tears. Betty Adams has crafted entire worlds of science fiction and science fantasy adventure in her Humans Are Weird series and in her Dying Embers series. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and become absorbed. Check out her books at the links below the video.